Carrie Harrison with you, asking you what would you do if you found out that not one but two of your relatives had been killed in a mass shooting right here in America. Well, we have a hip-hop artist who found out exactly that and has come up with a solution that may very well impact future would-be shooters. Plus, Greg Palast, The Guardian USA's new special investigative reporter, looks at cause and effect in a world that seems to be spinning endlessly out of control. All straight ahead. I've spent a decade taking a bite out of conspiracy theories, unraveling urban legends, and grappling with worldwide top-secret issues. I've even racked up some of their awards. Journalism is about telling the truth, all while ferreting out the bottom line.
Uh-oh, but that doesn't answer my question. That is all I'm answering.
With me, Carrie Harrison, as your guide. Carrie Harrison with you, glad to be with you. I love bringing you superheroes. These are people who step up in a time of need and do the right thing and find a way to communicate to all of us, usually through our hearts, our ears, our minds. They go to that extra level to be able to tell that story that needs to be told. The question is, why do we need heroes? Well, we live in an era where the world needs a lot of help, let's face it. And so we look to people like Jevin Lamar here, who went through a horrific time with family members in the recent shootings in Ohio. Now, here in LA, I will tell you, just yesterday, we had 6 shootings, and we're sitting in Los Angeles right now. 6 shootings, just yesterday. Nobody can even keep track of how many of these things are going on these days. But what happened to you, different from me, is you knew these were blood relatives of yours. Run us through quickly, since all of this is now a blur to so many people. Yes. What happened?
Well, on August 4th, I was in Switzerland, and I actually released 4 tracks on my birthday. So I released 4 tracks because that was just like a present to myself, already from Switzerland, so that was dope. And then I seen on Facebook first that it was a shooting at the Oregon district, and that's like the safest place you can go in Dayton. It's like college, and it's like security and police on every corner. They killed the guy in less than 30 seconds, but he ran into a bar and shot 9. He was running towards the bar, and he shot 9 people, including my cousin TJ. He was killed that night.
And so, before we get to your music, and we're going to look at your music video, and you smartly made it in a time period where we can enjoy it, where we don't sit through 30 minutes if you sing the same thing 30 times.
Yeah.
So you're very smart. This way it works for everybody. But here you are in Switzerland. You hear about the shooting because in Europe, they still go, what? What?
Yeah.
You know, here in the States, it's like between car commercials and a McDonald's sale, you get another shooting. Yeah. So it's, to us, it's almost become, strangely enough and perversely enough, a bit of a yawn.
Yeah.
But you're in Europe and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And they equate the guns and our culture and all the rest of it. And had you learned at that point your relatives had been impacted?
Yes, I learned when my sister had called me. And she told me that one of my, my cousin TJ was killed, and so the family's really broken from this. What's going on from this? It's really hard. It's really hard for his sisters to deal with because they just had lost their mom, and yeah. Well, I kind of reacted like I went on Twitter, a Twitter rant, and I was like tweeting Trump and like, what are you going to do? And like, I actually got banned off Twitter for a couple of days because I hashtag the only terrorists are white men with guns, and I hashtag Trump's terrorist and Dayton strong, and those were the like trending things. And then after that, I couldn't tweet anymore. So that's when I broke down for a little bit. Then I just had to put it into a song because that's how I handle any pain that I deal with. I put it directly into my music, and that's how I'm getting over it, and that's how I deal with it.
Well, let's get right into that. If you're listening on radio as well, we're talking to Jevin Lamar. He's a hip-hop artist whose cousin T.J. McNichols was killed in the Dayton, Ohio mass shooting August of 2019. And as a tribute to T.J. And those who tragically died alongside him, Jevin created the music video Still Holding On, and these lyrics explore the economic devastation of Dayton that serves as a background to the shooting and all the rest of it. Let's take a listen to this, let's take a look at this, and you're going to get in just about a minute and a half the entire picture and what it means.
Another shooting. This is coming out of the American state of Ohio. Police there are investigating the shooting.
My cousin TJ was killed on my B-day. He was 25, I just turned 25. Never thought in my mind he would be the one to die in a massive shooting in the town of mine. He got 4 kids, knee high, that cut deep, huh? He can't work in the morning, he can't feed them. He got a wife at home, she can't see him. He got sisters, bro, they really need him. On top of that, his kids wanna see him. Bones depict this world is sick. Mental health and entitlement, devil supremacists. It led to this. Together we stand, divided we fall. We should throw hands before we bear arms. For all the victims, I'm crushed by your loss. Even though you're gone, we still holding on. No matter where you go, I'ma keep holding on. Standing in the rain, we gon' get through the storm. Yes, the tide close, it might hit the coast. I'll be by your side, we still holding on. Yeah, yeah, we still holding on. In your brown eyes, I can see hope. Man, the world cold, it's hard to cope. I got your back and we still holding on. Take my hand, who gon' take my hand? And when I take a stand, they gon' kill me where I stand. I walk through the land, step through the fields of sand, following the footsteps, lead me to the promised land. Heal the world, words is not enough. I'm fighting for the ones not standing up, that can't speak up. It's hard enough that they indulge in killing us. No matter where you go, I'ma keep holding on. Standing in the rain, we gon' get through the storm. Yes, the tide close, it might hit the coast. I'll be by your side, we still holding on. Yeah, yeah, we still holding on.
Coming up, Greg Palast, The Guardian USA's new special investigative reporter. He'll be looking at stolen votes, the rebirth of Jim Crow racist tricks in our national election system, and the new GOP plan to deselect, cut out millions of Democratic voters, particularly people of color.
Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate your tax bill and reduce your stress. If you owe $10,000 or more, do not call the IRS alone. Call a tax doctor now for a tax emergency analysis.
Carrie Harrison with you, and we're visiting with Jevin Lamar. He's a man, a hip-hop artist, who has put together an incredible music video, which you just saw, called Still Holding On, all about the mass shootings in Dayton, Ohio. We were all watching television that day when it came out, and, you know, now it's hit Ohio. It had hit Florida a million times, California here. We just had one just within days. This thing is going on, and you're really focusing on the economic plight of Dayton, Ohio. Mm-hmm. Your Twitter rant that you were banned from Twitter was because you were pointing out, in your estimation, and I cannot argue what you're saying. It seems like a lot of white guys with guns. So far, we haven't seen not white guys with guns. So what do you think that is? You've had to actually pay attention to it and think about it in order to write a song.
Yeah, and I was actually like just thinking of it's just a different meaning. Like it's kids who are in poverty in oppressed situations who parents have guns and they will never touch them. They probably know where they are. They know what to do with them, but they're never going to go and actually get it. But these kids, from the research that I've done in these mass shootings, everyone comes from privileged homes that's running into schools or running into churches. And even the guy who shot my cousin was privileged going up. Maybe they're introvert or antisocial, but they still came from a privileged household. So I feel like it stems from the privilege.
When you were growing up, were you experiencing racism in Ohio?
I really didn't realize it was racism, but I actually did experience it in like 5th grade, and I talk about it on the track with I did with Jerry Quickly, who's a good friend of mine, and it was basically I got called a an N-word, you know, from a white kid, and I told him to say it again. I said, call me another one, and he did, and he came and hit me in my face. So we got into an altercation, and at the end of the day, like when everything was said and done, I got 10 days pending expulsion, and they only suspended him for 3. And I never understood why. Like, I was hit first, I was attacked, and I didn't understand that until now that I'm older. Like, oh, so that's really what goes on. Like, so that's when I'm like, build up. Like, it's always going to be that thing, you know. So you just gotta know what's out there, you know, what type of people you're dealing with.
Carrie Harrison with you with Pirate TV here on Free Speech Television, talking to Jevin Lamar, hip-hop artist whose first cousin, T.J. McNichols, was killed during the mass shootings in Dayton, Ohio. Well, it turns out that this hip-hop artist has even made an appearance at the Grammys. He's raising money for an organization called Daybreak Dayton, which is a homeless shelter that's helping young kids avoid the kind of poverty and the kind of desperation that causes people to strike out with guns and do other things. He's got a website, JevinLamar.com, which is a way to help and organize and support Daybreak Dayton in its mission to teach skills in resiliency and also provide services in mental health.
I just was recently doing some research back in the 1980. Ronald Reagan took mental health off of healthcare. And I just like found out that they put all the facilities that closed, they just put those people on the street. So,
yes, it was the advent of something called Prozac, which is an early antidepressant. It's still used today. And so what they did is they closed down all the mental institutions, of which we had thousands in this country.
Wow.
We actually took care of the mentally ill. We didn't have homeless people on the sidewalk. I know, you're not of an age where you're going, what do you mean? What do you mean no homeless people on the sidewalk?
Yeah, that's normal.
No homeless people. And they gave them all Prozac. Pharmaceutical companies working with Ronald Reagan. They had, let's just say there was a relationship there, and then released the homeless people with a week's worth of Prozac. Problem solved. So we also have, and this is an interesting note, coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, the warriors in Los Angeles, downtown, where we have the most amount of homeless people per capita in the world.
Facts.
80,000. And a full 25%, that's a full quarter, have head injuries, brain injuries, which means mental problems, or limb injuries or whatever. And they are trained killers with guns walking around downtown. And there's no remediation for this. There's no facility where we can give them a safe place to eat and live and sleep and have a normal life and take care of them. Other countries have poor people. Other countries have, you know, they can't even drink their water in parts of India. I mean, let's face it, but they're not out shooting each other all the time. What do you think this is?
I feel like it's supremacy and privilege. And like I said, with the mental health thing, if people not focusing on mental health, the most important thing for us to function as human beings, everybody's going to lose it someday. And then especially like in like poverty and like oppression, like I'm going to keep going back to that. If someone can't afford therapy, they're not going to go to therapy. Like, if a therapy's $100, no, nobody's going to do it. But if it was actually something that we could get for, like, health insurance, like, people can get covered for that, I think that would be dope, and that would change the dynamic it would change the thinking of the craziness that's going on.
You're
the
right.
Crazy. It's going to change the mindset, you know.
Well, happily in California, it is covered.
Yeah.
Covered California, we call it. It's actually covered.
Oh, that's great.
And it's less than $100. I mean, it might be $100 if you go on your own, but it has to be part of your plan. You cannot disconnect the brain from the rest of the physical body in California. Soon they're going to add eyeballs to the human body and then teeth. So we're very excited for the future. And what happens in California tends to go everywhere else. And I know everybody watching right now, it doesn't matter how you vote. You think that's a good idea, don't you? Carrie Harrison with you with Pirate TV here on Free Speech Television, talking to Jevin Lamar, hip-hop artist whose first cousin, T.J. McNichols, was killed during the mass shootings in Dayton, Ohio. Well, it turns out that this hip-hop artist has even made an appearance at the Grammys. He's raising money for an organization called Daybreak Dayton, which is a homeless shelter that's helping young kids avoid the kind of poverty and the kind of desperation that causes people to strike out with guns and do other things. He's got a website, JevinLamar.com, which is a way to help and organize and support Daybreak Dayton in its mission to teach skills in resiliency and also provide services in mental health.
Daybreak Dayton, it's a teen homeless shelter. And I actually was there at 14. They take in beaten, abused, neglected children, and they build them up, their self-esteem up. It's like projects and workshops to just help you become better as a person, and we're actually raising money for that. And it's just a lot of stuff. Like Dayton also had 14 tornadoes right before the massive shooting, so a lot of people lost their homes, everything. My grandparents were affected by that. So Dayton's really going through a lot right now. It's like a lot of like stuff that's going on, tragic things that's going on that could be flipped in the future to bring people together, because it did bring the city together. Every time something happens there, they come together a little bit more. That's what I noticed about my hometown. And
so you've got, and we're going to look at your video right now, by the way. You've got this new EP. You've got 6 tracks on it.
6 tracks.
Tell us what we're going to see.
Well, what you're going to get on the EP is definitely traditional hip-hop. It's storytelling. Every song is a story, a personal story that I went through and experienced personally in my life. All 6 tracks, and they're all great. You're not going to skip a track. It's just amazing. Amazing.
Sell it, baby.
If I hand you the weed, would you smoke with me? If I pull up in the coupe, would you ride with me? If I hand you my pen, would you write for me? If I'm lost with no more hope, would you come find me? If I did it wrong today, would you lie for me? Promise to always be the same, always side with me. If we hit rock bottom, would you climb with me? Let me take the lead, okay, you made for me. Cross your heart and hope to die. You'll always roll with me and stick by my side. Always pick me up when fame reaches to my eyes. I fully prophesize loyalty over lies. I've been crossed so much, don't know who to trust. So many snakes left me in the dust. Would you be solid when they come for us? When the smoke clears, it's only us. Give me your word, let the truth fill me. Can you come heal me? Lately I've been feeling empty. Promise to defend me when my will not willing. Say that you feel me even when you don't feel me. Feel me, feel me. Promise to give a hand because I lend a hand. Promise to be a friend when I need a friend. When I am lost, remind me who I am. Accept all my flaws because I'm only human. If I hand you the weed, would you smoke with me? If I pull up in the coupe, would you ride with me? If I hand you my pen, would you write for me? If I'm lost with no more hope, would you come find me? If I did it wrong today, would you lie for me? Promise to always be the same, always side with me. If we hit rock bottom, would you climb with me? Let me take the lead, okay, you made for me.
Title track of Street Orphan from Jevin Lamar's new 6-track EP. You definitely need to check it out. And of course, every single track that you support and buy and enjoy, as he pointed out, I mean, this is really great music. Every single track supports the homeless shelter in Dayton,
Yes,
and the people who still live there. including your family. Your family is still there.
My family is still in Dayton, and they're impacted greatly. It was basically all races were killed in that set of 9. So he was, and he actually killed his own sister too. So it was more so of a mental health thing, and that's why I was trying to, like, I want my impact on the world to be with mental health, because I feel like we should focus on that, because it's great. Because I could have lost my mind too. I could have been any one of these guys running in these schools with that gun. That could have been me if I wouldn't have got my life together and focused on my mind and just centered myself from all the negativity I was around and raised in, the environment.
And you mentioned you lived in Daybreak, Dayton, when you were 14 years old, a homeless shelter.
Yes.
And a lot of these homeless shelters now understand that their mental health has to be part of it. Drug abuse and all of these things. It's all part of the holistic view of a human being getting back on his feet. And it's interesting, you talked about you were in Switzerland at the time of the shootings, where in Switzerland every male is required to take home the country's gun. The country gives you a gun, you take it home as part of the Swiss army. But not one person ever gets shot.
Ever.
Ever. And they do consider the brain part of the human body, and they treat mental health there.
Yes,
I mean,
they do.
Sigmund Freud came from where? Not that everyone is Freudian, but let's just face it, right? Carl Jung, all of this stuff. Modern psychiatry, as we know it today, stemmed from a place where they actually valued the mind. And it seems that today, and you mentioned our president and our current political climate, having any kind of really great working brain or deductive reasoning is a demerit as opposed to a big asset. And you're sparking people once again to think through your lyrics, because each of your lyrics is a thought and an emotion tied together.
Yes, exactly.
And you endorse that message.
Yeah, I endorse this message. So if I see it every day, I'll become it. So if I write down, I am like the greatest rapper of all time, and I wake up every morning and I look at this on this dream board, I'll become the greatest rapper of all time. One of my biggest goals in dreams is to get a Grammy. So I have on my dream board like 4 or 5 Grammys. If I see it every day, I'll become it, and I'm going to teach the kids at Daybreak about that. Because I met a woman at Daybreak called Liz Murray, and she made a movie called Homeless to Harvard, and she just had a tragic life. Like, her parents were sick, they both died, they were drug addicts, and she ended up making it into Harvard. And that was like the inspiration for me to live my dreams at 14, because she talked to me about that, and it was like, oh, there is hope. It's something else out there.
Well, Jevin Lamar, let's just face it, you're talking about the Grammys. You're going to be appearing during the Grammys in a lot of American cities, certainly in the state from which you come, Ohio.
Yes.
You're on the Grammys.
Yeah.
Well,
super exciting. I just found out about that. So my performance is going to be taped. So in the video, and they're going to have some behind the scenes footage. It's going to be pretty dope. It's like amazing. Like, yeah, I don't even know what to say right now about that. It's pretty good.
It sounds like you feel the dream board stuff actually works. I've always wondered about that.
Yeah, the dream board works because it's like, I feel like our mind is like, it has photographic, like, pictures. So if you put pictures on a dream board, like, when I was in Dayton, that's when I started coming up with the dream board things. I had watched the movie The Secret, and I had started writing about the dream boards, and I had wrote, want to move to California. I didn't even know LA had mountains. That's how small my hometown was.
Well, we've only recently learned that, now that the air has gotten clean, thanks to decent governors in recent times. The air has cleared out, and suddenly you can see mountains. It's a miracle. Yes, we have mountains and snow in those mountains.
Yeah. I had no idea. I knew Colorado had mountains, but I never did, like, research on LA. Like, so it was just crazy when it all started happening for me. I'm like, wow, you can literally write your life out on paper. And if you believe it, it's all about the faith. If you have faith in yourself, that's the whole thing of the laws of attraction and the dream board. You have to have the faith in what you do. Anything someone tells me, I take it in. Like, I really listen. I feel like listening is very important, because listening and being nice and genuine to people can get you so far in life. So that's like my motto. I'm devoted to the music. I'm passionate about the music. All I want to do is music. If I don't do music, I will die.
It's funny, an artist who does not art withers. And I was told this. I may or may not admit right here and now that I had a team of highly paid mental health professionals. It was one woman. She was a former ABC movie executive, ABC TV movies. And she was an older woman, and so she had seen it all. And she said, listen, let me tell you something. You're an artist. You're doomed. I said, but I'm depressed. She said, that's why you're an artist. Of course you're depressed. She said, so you have to just accept it. And you have to make art, because an artist who does not art, she turned that into a verb, withers. And it's true, because if you don't do your art, it comes after you.
Yeah.
Like a angry witch, and it beats you up. I think the poetry gets the message out better than just a melody. Is that right?
Yeah, the poetry, definitely, you can express yourself more with rap. It could be sad, it could be happy, it could be emotional, it could be passionate, it could just be like playful rap, club rap. It's just very expressive. It's meditation for me, definitely.
Well, we're going to finish with this idea. You're also a movie producer.
Yes.
Just throw that in, by the way.
Yeah, throw that out there. I produced a whole movie that was filmed in my hometown. They pretty much most of the movie was shot in Dayton, Ohio. And I think that was a great experience for me to open my eyes to politics, because my eyes weren't open to politics until I got that experience and opportunity to be a part of that movie.
Well, we have a surprise for you. We have Greg Palast, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy, author of not only that book, but the wonderful documentary, and we'll take a look at a couple of clips of that, a movie that you helped produce. Yes. He's going to come and talk about what it was like working with you and how all of this story is just enmeshed with one set on the other. And you also found, I think, as you were producing that movie, that politics is everything in life.
It is.
It's all about moving the herd from A to B. A to B. That's all politics is. It's how do we get all of them to do that, to agree with that, or to disagree with that. And I can see that in your lyrics, this kind of wonderful perception of how stuff is now put together. Not always in the best way is it always put together. But once you understand how stuff is stitched, you can then unstitch it. And that's half the battle. Jevin Lamar's new EP, you got to check it out. You can also follow him on Instagram and Twitter, yes, Facebook, the whole Soup Cat and Pizzas, wherever data is. Spotify,
Apple, Tidal, Amazon Music, Deezer, all of it.
Your elevator, Willy Wonka style, is just shooting straight up. And you are part of the solution as we all, are trying to climb out of this horrible ditch that we all feel like we're living in. We can look to you for happiness and resolution. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Hang on, because in just a sec, we're going to get to talk to Greg Palast, the investigative reporter who is also a filmmaker, The Best Democracy Money Can Buy. We're going to get a sense of what it was like in Ohio, how it led up to the shooting, and what people who feel disenfranchised, who might have grown up without much money but have access to guns, how they might act out, because Greg has a personal story that's going to make a whole lot of sense to you.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call Low Cost Airlines. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call now.